Welcome back to High Stakes. Elevate your betting game by hitting that subscribe button and never miss out on our daily content. Want exclusive access to premium betting picks? Join our Patreon. Links waiting for you in the comment section below. Stay ahead of the game with High Stakes. Ohio U versus Central Michigan. Ohio can shut down the running game, and that's going to make things a lot more difficult for Central Michigan's offense to get things going. The Chippewas are allowing the opposing quarterback to have massive games against them, so go with the Ohio Bobcats to cover the spread on the road here. My team pick is Ohio Bobcats -3 points. Both quarterbacks have shown the ability to turn the football over, so those are drives that are resulting in 0 points. Ohio has gone under in 3 of their last 4 games and 5 of their last 7 against Central Michigan. Too many reasons that these teams are going to struggle, so go with under 49.5 total points to be scored in this game. My total pick is under 49.5 points. Arizona versus BYU. The Cougars' defense has been able to slow opposing teams down too. They have the 48th best rush defense and 24th best pass defense. Arizona has turned the ball over too many times, and they have struggled to punch the ball into the end zone, opting for field goals. BYU should take care of business at home through good defense and efficient offense. My team pick is BYU Cougars -4 points. BYU's defense has been strong, especially in the passing game. The under is 3-0 when Arizona has played against Big 12 opponents. Arizona is also 4-0 under in their last 4 games. I expect another low-scoring game. Take the under 48.5 points. Mississippi ST versus Georgia. The Bulldogs will be leaning on a freshman quarterback Michael Van Buren Jr. to take the reins of the offense. He has only 36 career passing attempts in his career, 52.8% completion rate, and heading to a hostile Athens is not the place for him to ease into his new role. I think it's going to be extremely tough sledding for MSU's offense in this game, and I can realistically see them being held to under 10 points. I'll lay this massive number with Georgia, especially since their offense is heating up. They've scored 58 points in their last 6 quarters of football, so I expect them to stretch the lead out in this spot. My team pick is Georgia Bulldogs -33.5 points. This is one of those spots where the side and total are correlated, in my opinion. If Georgia covers the spread, I expect the game to go under. If Mississippi musters up enough offense to cover, then we'll probably sneak over the total. However, I think it'll be the former, where Georgia notches a 45-6 victory, or somewhere in that range. Aside from a 41-point dismantling at the hands of Alabama, Georgia's defense has been a top-tier unit. In their 4 other games, they're allowing an average of 7.8 points per game. Now they'll welcome in a freshman quarterback who's leading a team that has dropped 4 straight games. This is a very tough spot for MSU, and I just can't see them contributing much to the scoreboard in this game. Give me the under 54 points. Southern Miss versus UL Monroe. It's been a rough ride for the Southern Miss Golden Eagles in 2024, stumbling to a dismal 1-4 start. The Eagles have been on the receiving end of blowout after blowout, dropping their first 3 games by at least 25 points. One of the more glaring defeats came at the hands of a lackluster Jacksonville State squad, where Southern Miss suffered a humiliating 37-point thrashing. Their only glimpse of hope came against an FCS opponent, Southeastern Louisiana, in what is currently their sole win of the season. Last week, the Golden Eagles began their conference slate with their least embarrassing loss so far, a 10-point home defeat to a solid Louisiana team. But there's no denying the issues plaguing Southern Miss, starting with transfer QB Tate Rodemaker. Rodemaker has struggled mightily, throwing as many interceptions as touchdowns for a piece, while being sacked twice as much. With just 580 yards across 5 games, averaging a meager 116 per game, Southern Miss offense is looking for answers. The running game, led by Rodriguez-Clark, hasn't been able to save them either, as he's only averaging 4.1 yards per carry this season. On the flip side, UL Monroe is having a season to remember. Sitting at 4-1 with an undefeated 2-0 start in Sun Belt play, the Warhawks have made the most of their opportunities. Their only loss came in Week 3 against the nation's top team, Texas, which is hardly a reason to panic. Every other game, however, has been a victory, including a standout performance last week where they handed James Madison their first loss of the season in a gritty 21-19 battle. Since taking over for General Booty, Aiden Armenta has provided stability and improved QB play for UL Monroe. Armenta has completed 58% of his passes and averages a solid 7 yards per attempt, adding balance to the offense. But it's the ground game where the Warhawks have truly excelled, racking up 692 rushing yards through their first 5 games, with Ahmad Hardy leading the charge. With Southern Miss in a tailspin and UL Monroe riding high, this matchup feels like one where the Warhawks will continue to flex their muscle, while the Golden Eagles will be left searching for answers. I've got UL Monroe cruising to easily cover the 6.5-point spread at home against Southern Mississippi. The Warhawks have handled their business all season, winning all 4 of their games against non-top-ranked opponents by an average margin of 12 points per contest. After a huge momentum-building win over Sun Belt powerhouse James Madison, Monroe's confidence is sky-high, and I fully expect them to keep rolling. Their defense has been locking teams down, and since switching to Aiden Armenta at quarterback, their offense has found new life. On the other hand, Southern Miss is sinking fast. They've dropped all 4 of their games against FBS opponents this season, each by at least 10 points. With a sputtering offense and a defense that's been consistently picked apart, this might just be the lock of the week. The Golden Eagles don't seem to have any answers, and they're walking into a buzzsaw on the road. As for the total, I'm all over the over at 41.5 points. Southern Miss has been a sieve defensively, allowing an average of 37 points per game against FBS teams. Monroe's offense may not be elite, but they've shown flashes of scoring ability, especially since the QB change, and they're going up against one of the worst defenses they'll face all season. The Warhawks should have no problem putting points on the board, and even if Southern Miss manages a few scores, because let's face it, even bad teams stumble into a couple of touchdowns, the over should cash with ease. My picks: UL Monroe minus 6.5 points and over 41.5 points. Florida versus Tennessee. There are 53 games worth of history in this history-rich rivalry, which began 108 years ago. The Gators own a 32-21 SU advantage in the series, but the Vols have owned them of late, going 17-2 SU over the last 19 meetings. This is an inopportune time for Florida to run up against their longtime rivals. The Volunteers are most definitely looking to prove last week's loss was a major flaw in their grand scheme. Their offense was extremely flat in that game after scoring 51 points or more in their first 3 games. Florida's defense has not been good, and they are loaded with injuries in the secondary, which should open up the Vols' passing game. Last year, Tennessee won by 13 at Gainesville, and I expect them to boost things up this time around. No better opponent to take out your aggression on than a long-time rival. Take the Volunteers minus 15.5 points. This series has seen a variety of results through the years, but it isn't often that a good number of points aren't scored. Last year, we saw a combined 45 points put up, and that was tame by nature. The last time they met in Knoxville, a total of 71 points hit the board. The Volunteers enter this game with one of the better offenses, statistically, in the country this season. They had some massive offensive outbursts over their first 3 games, so only scoring 14 versus Arkansas in a mighty loss will surely light a fuse on that front. Florida is better in the offensive department than on defense. The Gators have twice scored 45 points this season, so they are capable of scoring big, and they've put at least 20 on the board in each of their last 4 games. They'll do enough to chip in and get us where we want. The over is 3-2 for both teams this season. Take the over 55.5 points.